Hi everybody, I'm Helen.
And I'm Billie.
We're sisters and behind the blog Mea Culpa. And today we're going to show you how to do an easy and delicious little dessert called milopitaka, or mini apple pies with filo. And it's a great dessert if you're craving an apple pie and you just don't have time and the energy to make it with pastry dough. It's a great little alternative.
They're like apple turnovers, Greek style.
That's right.
So let's get started and show you how easy it is to make these little beautiful desserts. So the first thing that you need to do, of course, is to start with apples. And for this dessert, we use yellow delicious apples because we read somewhere once that these are the best apples to bake with.
That's right. I like to eat those, but I do not like the red delicious apples.
Yes, I think both the delicious apple variety are not delicious at all. They're good to bake with, but for some reason they
could be a little potato-y, right?
Potato-y,
yes.
They can be potato-y. They're gross. Like they're mushy, unless they're perfect.
Yeah.
And they're rarely perfect. Anyways, but they are wonderful to bake with. They
or you just use whatever apples you have on hand.
Yeah, you can use whatever you have, whatever's on sale, whatever your kids didn't eat yet.
It will still be delicious.
Yeah.
I love this tool.
This is a great apple core. We're going to use the apple core.
Gotta watch it, make sure it doesn't land in Billy's purse.
Helen knows me well. So you do something like that. This is great.
I love that.
Oh my God. Okay. So we've taken out the core and then we're going to cut the apple into like 1/2 inch little pieces. So then we're going to transfer these to the bowl. You just have to be careful. Sometimes the core, as fancy as it is, doesn't actually remove everything you want to remove. So there's a little seed left here. So we're going to cut that out.
And I don't know if we mentioned, but it's 6 apples we're going to use.
Yes, 6 apples.
And they're pretty good size.
These are big apples.
Yeah.
So we're going to, oops. I've been working all day. Man. Okay, there you go. I felt it was important to show you how Helen peels apples. She's a real Greek.
Greek style. Greeks love their knives. I can't use those fancy things. Maybe just to do carrots.
These fancy things. This is like a peeler. Everybody uses a peeler.
Perfect. Look.
Yeah, it's impressive, man.
Yeah, there you
This
go,
is how our
guys.
parents peel things. They peel their potatoes with a knife.
Yeah, so do I.
You do, eh?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. I'm too fancy. I need a peeler. So here we are. We have chopped up, we've peeled, cored, and diced our 6 golden delicious apples. So I just want you to come in and see the size. So I think earlier I told you 1/2 inch. I misspoke. They're actually a little bit smaller than that. Yeah. So keep in mind they're going to go into little triangle pitas. So you can have, apples.
Yeah, they shouldn't be too big.
They shouldn't be too chunky. So into the pot, we're going to put, come on over and take a look. We're going to put our apples. So the pot has been set over medium heat. We're going to add 1/2 cup of white granulated sugar, 1 tablespoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice, a tablespoon of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of water, and finally we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Everything that you would normally put, pretty much everything you would normally put in an apple pie.
Exactly. So we're just going to stir it to combine everything. And we're going to cook it over medium heat for about 15 minutes. Once it starts cooking down, 15 minutes, and you're going to see the apples are just going to be releasing juices, and it's going to make everything just very soft and and delicious looking.
So we'll show you what it's like when it's done.
So these have been cooking down for about 15-20 minutes. We even covered it just so the steam could stay within the pot. Don't they look great?
They look great and they smell great. I wish we had smell-o-vision.
I know. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add 1/2 cup of chopped walnuts. We're going to stir it in. And we're going to let it cool. And then we're going to wrap the filo.
We have our apples here that we cooked down that are nice and cool.
We had it in the freezer.
Yeah, so we put them in the metal bowl so that we
Yes.
could stick it in the freezer.
We don't have to put it in the freezer. We were in a bit of a rush because
Yeah.
our families are hungry and they want to be fed.
And we're gonna lose the light, so you do what you gotta do. So the other thing that we have is a bowl of melted butter and butter, because everything is better with butter, and phyllo dough. So if you've never worked with phyllo dough, you may be a little worried because you may have heard that it's very difficult to work with, and we say no, it's not. No. It's I mean, you have to be a little careful, but it's certainly nothing to be
Afraid of.
Yeah.
So we're very fortunate that we're able to buy and find fresh phyllo. So that's what we use. But if you live somewhere and you can't find fresh and you buy frozen, which is perfectly fine, you just have to give it enough time to defrost, at least 24 hours, and you need to put it in the fridge to defrost. And a couple of hours before you use it, put it on your counter, room temperature, because if there's anything still a little bit frozen inside, it's going to crack.
Yeah, and it's going to turn to mush. The other thing is to make sure that your hands are clean but completely dry.
Exactly.
When you use the phyllo. So you can see that it's packaged up in sheets like this, and it's many layers. Yeah, you can take that out. It has many layers to it. It's paper thin, and look, it tears very easily.
And don't worry about it if it tears. I mean, when you put butter in it, you kind of just like patch it.
Butter fixes everything. The other thing that happens with phyllo, because it's very thin, is that if you let it, if you leave it exposed to air for too long, it's going to dry out, and you don't want that because then it's going to crack all over the place.
Right.
So basically, you lay your pack of phyllo on the cutting board, and you're going to cut strips that are about 3 inches wide. So, you could use a ruler or just your eye, and we're going to cut through the entire stack. It cuts really easily. Now we're going to take 2 layers of phyllo. So here's our first one. Because that one is torn, I'm actually going to put that one on top, and I'll tell you why. So that we have our intact piece at the bottom. That'll form the outer part of our little triangle. And you take your butter and you dab. You don't want to oversaturate your phyllo dough. 1 dunk of your pastry brush into the butter is just fine. And then you take about a teaspoon's worth of the filling. You place it on the edge, and here maybe we'll just make sure that we're zoomed in so you can see how you fold it.
It's the fun part.
So you take 1 corner, you fold over. You can see I have some filling sticking out there, that's okay. Then you bring it over like so. If you've made spanakopitakia or tiropitakia, it's pretty much exactly the same technique.
It's funny because when I fold phyllo, I don't get a triangle.
No, Helen gets this bizarro shape.
I'm going to show you guys after.
I mean, technically I think it's a triangle. It has 3 sides, but it's not perfect like mine. Like, this is actually kind of perfect. I think it is.
It is.
Is this an isosceles triangle? What is that? Equilateral?
It's just a triangle, Billy.
No, it's a specific triangle.
We're not scientists.
I'm a scientist, technically. So then you put it on the parchment paper, and you continue with the rest. And we'll let Helen do the next one.
Okay, so here's 1, I think.
Yeah,
this is 1.
Yeah.
And here's the second one. So we're going to dab it with butter. Let's put this down. Dab, brush, whatever you want. We're going to take 1 teaspoon of the delicious filling.
If you have any of this filling left over, and you've made as many of the little pitas as you would like, then you can also use that to like top ice cream.
Yeah, delicious. Or yogurt.
Okay, look at what Helen's doing. Look what's happening here, people.
It's a triangle.
It's a triangle, but why does it look like that?
I don't know.
What did you do wrong?
I'm not doing anything wrong. Mom loves my pitas.
I know, she says she loves them.
See, isn't it pretty?
Which one do you prefer, guys? Look, Billy's triangle or the other triangle? And we have our first tray of milopitakia already done, and we just wanted to show you the filling. Just to point out that the liquid that is delicious, we don't actually use when we scoop up the apples, because if it's too liquidy, you're going to end up with milopitaka that are a bit soggy, right?
Very messy.
So the last thing to do here is to take some melted butter and just dab it over the top of each of the little pitas.
Yeah, you don't have to cover the pita completely, right?
No, just a little bit, because, you know, because butter's good. And it's going to give them a nice golden brown color on the top.
Did you see how pretty these are?
You know what I'm noticing?
What's
How
that?
many did you make, Helen? Let's see, you made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
It
9,
takes longer
10.
for perfection.
So we're gonna bake these in the middle rack of the oven at 350 degrees for about 15 minutes. And we'll show you what they look like when they're done.
That's right. See you soon.
So here we are, and the kitchen smells great. Our milopitaka are ready. They were in the oven for what?
15 to 20 minutes, depending on your oven.
Yeah. So as you can see, come and see a little bit closer. We're not going to pretend that we're perfect. Some of them split open a little bit. That's probably because we packed in a bit too much filling, or we rolled them a little too tightly in these particular instances. So that's okay. I mean, just be mindful of that as you fold your milopitaka.
Yeah, don't fold them too tightly.
Yeah, don't fold them too tight and don't overpack them. And you know, the nice thing we were saying earlier is once you learn this technique, you can fill, like, you can make little triangles with anything, right? So to serve,
we like to serve them with powdered sugar. Don't they look great?
they look good, they smell good. And let them cool a little bit, because the filling is going to be
super hot, yeah.
very hot, so you don't want to burn your tongue.
Yeah.
And that's it. So let them cool, and then have like 4, 5, 6.
At least
In one sitting. We've got another batch in the oven, so we'll be eating well. Hope you enjoyed.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye. If you'd like the recipe for our milopitaka, you can find it at www.miakuba.com.
Thank you so much.